As a man, your life is supposed to be shit. My argument to this is people go, oh, I don't feel good. I say, good. Your life as a man is going to be terrible the entire time. Having tears run down my face as I'm doing push-ups, or tears run down my face as I'm organizing the school for my child and my voice isn't breaking, is different than sitting and crying. I didn't sit and dedicate myself to crying. I didn't sit and do the act of crying. My eyes leaked as I achieved.
Let's time travel back to you as a child.
Sure.
Because I feel like what made you who you are now is based mostly off of how you were raised.
Absolutely.
Take me back.
So I grew up in a very kind of strange world, and I was a professional chess player. I was on my path to being a professional chess player at the age of 5. So I played chess for the early part of my life. And then at the age of 11, my mother and father split up. My mom took me back to Luton. So from the age of 11, I grew up in Luton. So that's the very beginning of the story. And a lot's happened between now and then, and here I am. So
yeah, I think I had the best possible upbringing a person can have, which is good parents and no money. I didn't get famous or rich young, which I also thank the Lord for. I think a lot of these people who get famous online quite early, I think they miss out a lot of life.
It's not real life.
It's not real life.
It's not real life.
No, I had real jobs and I did real things and I was really broke and I was really on the bus and really trying to pay rent and doing real stuff for a long time. So I want people to understand I come from the lowest possible socioeconomic background. I come from a single mother household. My father and mother broke up when I was 9. I lived in Luton, England, which is the worst town in England. I grew up and went to a school with a 3% pass rate. Everyone around me was stabbing each other and selling drugs.
I thought you said your father was one of the best fathers you've ever had.
He was, but my mother and father broke up and he stayed in America and I moved to England, and he wasn't financially successful, but he taught me other lessons.
Gotcha.
And I'm glad he didn't give me money, because I think that a harsh upbringing and a harsh life makes a man a man. I don't think you learn a lesson any other way, but I come from the absolute bottom. And now I'm up at a position where we have a very large empire. A lot of it is shadow. Most people don't know what it is, but even our overt things, even our university and things that are online are turning over $15-20 million a week. So we're doing crazy sums of money. So I've been from the absolute bottom to the absolute top. I've seen it all. Okay. When I'm sitting there and saying to men, look, life as a man is shit. It's always been shit. It's never been good. When men wake up and say, I'm depressed and life is hard and I'm sad and I'm struggling right now, I say, okay, throughout history, men have always struggled. Happiness is for children and women. Name a time in history it was better to be a man. Was it better to be a man in World War II? Was it better to be a man on the Titanic? Was it better to be a man in the Napoleonic Wars? Was it better to be a man when you were sitting in Vienna and the Mongol horde arrived, ready to decapitate any male and enslave all the females? When's it ever been good to be a man? Building the pyramids, was that fun? It's always sucked. The only time being a man ever is good is if you become an exceptional man.
When I was 21, me and Andrew used to have no food. I used to drive my broken Volkswagen Golf to the KFC restaurant in Dunstable, United Kingdom. And I used to sit in my car. And you couldn't ever eat anyone's leftover food if they ever had their mouth on it. But at KFC, they used to buy buckets. And I would sit and wait for people to sit outside, eat their meal, and leave the bucket on the table. And I used to go and take that bucket, 3 or 4 pieces of chicken. And I used to collect 20, 30, 40 pieces of chicken that were perfectly fine left in the buckets. And I used to go home and I used to freeze that chicken. And me and Andrew would break it up, put it in our rice. And that was our meal. That's what sustained us for that hard year. That year we had when I was 21 and you were 22. Yeah. That's how broke we were. I used to scavenge chicken from KFC because I thought, fuck it, I'm not dying and I'm not losing my kickboxing fights because I don't have enough protein. What am I going to do to make it through the day? That's how broke I was. And that's a sad story if you never make it out. To me, that's a happy story. That's a story of triumph. Now it's like, hey, Andrew, it's my birthday. What we doing? KFC? And it's a big joke. We sit there eating our KFC laughing about how we used to scavenge KFC chicken.
I became world champion. Tristan became European champion. And like he said, we didn't have enough protein in our fucking diet. We're sitting there eating rice every day thinking this is the cheapest thing we can eat. We have no fucking
sardines.
Money. But we need some meat. How can we get meat? I became world champion without even fucking food. And you got these kids with millions and millions and millions. He ain't got a 6-pack. It's fucking embarrassing.
So what I say to men is, look, life's hard. It's always going to be hard. It's always going to suck. It always has. The only way to get out is to become excellent and perform at a level where your echelon is so high that you get to live this brand new experience. You need to become strong and smart and interesting and charismatic. You need to become rich, powerful, well-known, connected. You need to do it. If I feel like I'm going to go to war, I need money. And even in this war I've been in, even when I went to jail, right? Not a lot of people understand how the legal system works, but the process itself is a punishment. The day I was arrested, all of my bank accounts were frozen. All of my cars were seized.
That's scary, dude.
Yeah, all of my cars were seized. All of my diamond watches were taken. $900,000 in cash was taken. Gold bars was taken. All of my value was taken, right? So since January, technically, technically, I haven't had access to $1. It's now been a year and I don't have a penny, according to DCAW and the Romanian legal system. Luckily, I have some good friends who look after me. Since January, I haven't had access to a single dollar. Now, I'm me, right? So perhaps I have very rich friends. Perhaps I was paranoid and prepared. Perhaps I have multiple identities. Who knows how I pulled it off to have all new cars again, right? But most humans could not survive getting grabbed from their house in January, all of their bank accounts frozen, every app on their phone taken away from them, their passport seized, thrown in a cell, and then taken out of that cell, locked in their house for 5 months. And then even when they're allowed out of the house, they still don't have $1. How do you pay the rent? How do you pay the bills? How do you feed people? And this was actually interesting because when I was in jail, my number one concerns were not for me. My biggest concerns when I was in jail was for everyone I care about. Yeah. I'd get my phone time and I'd be on the phone like, okay. And they're like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, listen, we only have 5 minutes.
Let me make sure you get paid.
Is this paid? Yeah. Are you okay? Do you need this? Do you need that? I just spent all my time trying to look after other people from a prison cell with seized bank accounts.
Did you think you were going to come out?
No.
When a storm hits, the storm is still hitting. Yep. But there's a difference from you drowning in the storm or standing above the storm.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're always going to have challenges and obstacles.
Storms are going to come.
But I guarantee you, there's obstacles that you could walk through with a smile on your face that another man could fall apart.
Absolutely. I've just been through some, and I'm sure I'll have more. It says in the Quran, just because you believe, you think Allah will not test you. Just because you believe in me, you think you're not going to be tested.
I think being tested is a great thing for
That's how God shows love.
Yeah.
Because because God's love is a disciplinarian love. It's a masculine love. It's like a father. A father shows love through putting you on the bike, letting you fall over, letting you hurt your knee, picking you back up, putting you back on the bike. That's how a father shows love, and God is the same. When I came up with my plan and I worked with the War Room, we put together a 1-year plan to become the most famous man on the planet, and I pulled it off and I did it. And my plan was to get canceled. And the reason was because I knew that the Matrix the dam had a bunch of pressure behind it. Everyone was tired of the censorship. But when you get canceled, you vanish. And I said, there's so much pressure behind the dam. The crack it needs is for someone to get canceled and stay relevant or become more relevant than before. Damn. Then people won't be afraid of getting canceled anymore. So then they'll start to talk. And when I got canceled and I moved to Rumble and I put together the whole big Rumble thing and I put together my final message and I said my unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer indefatigability makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. And I sat down with Patrick Bet David and I said, they fucked up. They shouldn't have deleted me. They sitting around thinking they've got rid of me. They made a mistake. And then the Matrix got pissed off. I got bigger. So they threw me in jail, which made me bigger. You know, it's interesting. I won't say who, but a very famous and very intelligent right-wing commentator said to me when I was talking to him about all of this, and he agreed with every single word I said. He said, the only way out is through. You have to get so big they're scared to kill you. It's the only way, or they're going to get rid of you. If you stay in the middle, you're going to go. You have to get so big that killing you will cause the problems they don't want you to cause alive.
We're going to talk about today how to become the best versions of yourself. What actually makes a high value man? Because I get asked this question all the time. So we're going to make it very clear what a man is and what a man should be. I'm going to explain it in an extremely concise, compendious, detailed way. When people look at you, why do they see you as a high value man? Do you have anything you project? Do you project true bravery? Do you project true confidence? Or do you need to talk to try and convince people of these things? They say confidence is quiet. It can also be very loud, but you don't want to live in a delusion. That's the first thing. So I want every single person here who's actually taking notes to think, if I can't talk, how am I judged? If I can't speak, what do people think of me? How am I projecting my value to the world if I can't say a word? You're talking about how do you make content that makes you stand out? Well, if you stand out as a man, then your content will stand out because you'll have exactly the right things to say and you'll be trusted and believed because people will see in your eyes and know that you're more than just a loud mouth. Because manhood is exceptionally hard and life is hard. But how you shape yourself will determine how hard it is for you and how miserable it will be. As a man, there is no easy life. If you're looking for an easy life, you should have been a girl. You made a mistake.
Yep.
Your life is not about being easy. Your life is not about being happy. Your life is always going to be difficult. All of the pain you feel, all of the sadness you feel, you're supposed to feel as a man, and you have two effective binary choices. You either go through the suffering and go through the trauma and go through the hardship it takes to be a man of value, or you suffer eternity as a nobody. And being invisible, I would argue, is almost worse. You can have a very stress-free life if you work in Starbucks. You don't care about the Starbucks once you clock off. You're not at work at the time. You go home, you play video games, and you exist until you die. That's stress-free, but you have to suffer being a nobody. Alternatively, you can go out there into the world, try and implement your mark on the world, work hard, try to get rich, more money, more problems. You can try and start a business, the stress of that. You can lose your girlfriend because all you're doing is working. This is a new level of stress, a new level of trauma, but at least you'll be a somebody at the end of it. There's two ways to suffer. You either suffer to become a somebody, or you suffer as a perpetual and forever nobody. There is a burden of expectation on you as a man. You're expected to do the impossible all of the time. You're expected to perform regardless of how you feel. And if you don't meet those expectations, you will be forever punished by life, by your girl, by your friends, by existence. There's no other option but to be a G about it. You have to just be a G. Because how did you and Tristan handle jail? What am I going to do? Not handle it? What does that even mean? Want to bang my head against the wall? You have to just get it done.
Do anything.
You have to just get it done. If you're a full-grown man and you wake up, you should feel fire in your blood to conquer the world. If you wake up and you don't feel fire in your blood, it has been suppressed on purpose. Somebody has come along and said something or done something to you that has destroyed your innate, natural, God-giving masculine quality to want to go out there in the world and do amazing things. But you wake up and you just want to sit around your house. Why? They've done that to you on purpose. It's on purpose. It's all purposeful. And you've fallen for it. You've been programmed by the Matrix. You have to resist. You have to find out exactly how they're getting this crap in your mind and resist it. You need to have a strong network of men who don't allow you to make these mistakes.
What's the point in being alive as a man if you don't live for anything bigger than yourself anyway? Am I going to live for myself and just hedonistically, eat ice cream like a girl?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm rich now, so I'm just going to eat ice cream all day. No, I'm going to tell the truth. And if I have to suffer for it, then that's the consequences. It's fine. War is certain for all of us. We're all fighting different battles. You can either suffer the intense pain it requires to become a somebody, or suffer the intense pain of being a forever nobody.
You're a man. You have responsibilities. I think we're here to do important things, and important things are going to be difficult, and they're going to be hard, and you're going to get frustrated. But that's what gives you purpose. I don't see anyone who's chasing happiness. I think that's a very feminine frame. I understand why some women just want to be happy, but you're a man, right? And if you're a man, then it's absolutely an utterly different experience of life. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to endure pain. Yeah. I think we're here to just see how hard we are to kill. I think that going through terrible things and living through them and coming out the other side is one of the most fantastic things about being human. I think that it's almost like once you understand what life is really about, there's no emotion which isn't enjoyable. The only emotional state which can be seen as detrimental is feeling nothing at all. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to go through pain. That's so I wake up each day and go, what can I attack? What problem can I solve? And look at history. Why did Genghis Khan wake up and want to conquer the whole world? Why did Napoleon conquer the world? Why did Alexander the Great conquer the world? You just wake up and just say, give me this, give me that. I want all of it. I need to, there's an army there. They're really big. We're better. It's intrinsic. Yeah. You need to go and conquer because if you don't struggle, you don't learn. Yeah. God created us to learn and understand ourselves and understand other people and understand the world. And what did I say earlier? I said that you don't learn a lesson or you don't appreciate something without pain. So you have to struggle to learn anything. There's only two ways to learn things, the hard way or the harder way. If you're smart, you can learn the hard way. But in my experience, 99% of the planet only learn the hardest possible way. If the lesson's even 85% effective, they'll make the same mistake. It's only when they completely decimate and destroy an element of their life do they sit there and go, oh, now I get it. No. That's how it goes.
There's a lot of men out there, especially in the world today, who only want to do things because they feel a certain way, not understanding that doesn't make them competitive. The biggest question I get asked all the time is, hey, I lack motivation. And it's an annoying question to me because so do I sometimes. I don't always feel motivated to go to the gym. I don't always feel motivated to work. I don't always feel motivated to do what I need to do, but I do it anyway. It's called discipline. And if you're going to wake up every day and lack the motivation to do what should be done and compete against people who will do it irregardless of how they feel, you're going to perpetually and forever lose. When you're asking someone for motivation, what you're effectively doing is saying, make me want to do it. I don't want to do it. Make me want to. No, you have to do it. Or you can stay a fucking loser. The best thing you can do as a man is try to make your mark on the world and make people understand how and why you think and try and be a positive influence and have children.
Everyone has a dream, but not many people have a plan. A dream and a plan are different things. When you say to guys, do you want to be rich? Yeah, I want to be rich. How will you get rich? So you can have a dream with no plan. When's the last time something fantastic has ever happened on accident? When's the last time you've seen a big jacked dude and you say, hey man, how'd you get so jacked? And he goes, dunno, oops. Well, it just happened. No, he planned it. He went to the gym. He he ate a certain way. He planned his meals. He had to make it happen. It's exactly the same with getting rich. You need a plan to get rich, right? Most people everyone out there has a dream, but very few people have a plan. Yep. If you're surrounded by people who have a plan to get rich, and you provide value to them in some way, because they're not going to drag you up if you ain't doing nothing, because that's what friendship is. Friendship is value exchange.
Yeah.
If you provide value to them, sooner or later you're going to begin to make money.
The problem with most people in the world today is not that they do a normal thing, it's that they do a normal thing and they don't try to be the best at it. Name a normie job.
Making coffee.
Making coffee. Boom. You're a barista. So the first thing you need to do is get very good at making coffees. That's the first thing you need to do. Be able to do it in a fancy way. Then you need to solicit attention. Well, if you can make coffees in a fancy way, you can hire a videographer. You can then begin to make fancy coffees in a fancy way, and you can make it look good with a finalized product, and you can get a nice video made that's well cut with some fancy music. You begin to put them on Instagram and solicit people to watch your Instagram. Now you have attention. How do you then turn that attention into money after you began to show your fancy coffees? Well, you could, let's say, put together a course or an academy or write a book on the magic of coffee or the secrets of coffee. And you would put a mystery on it. Don't say, I'll teach you how to make coffee. No, say the secrets of coffee. You'd have a link in your Instagram page and it would be $9 and it would tell people the secrets how to make coffee. You'd start to sell that for $9. You'd make a couple hundred or a couple thousand, not too much, but you continue to make fancy coffees. People continue to go to your Instagram page. You're now selling the secrets of how to make coffee. Then after people start knowing you as being a barista, you start to make these $9. You have $20,000, $30,000 in the bank. What you can do is launch your own coffee brand. You can go to Alibaba.com. You can find some coffee beans. You can put your face on it because your face is now a recognized brand. You can get your own coffee beans. You can begin to sell them on Instagram. Before you know it, you're making $10,000 or $15,000 a month. You can start to do tours. You can start to put posters on your Instagram or in your Instagram stories saying, I'm going to do master classes on how to make coffee, 20 people only, $1,000 each at this premium barista specialty coffee shop in London. The coffee shop will allow you to do it for free because they want people to know, get the advertising from you and your brand. You'll charge $1,000 each. That's 20 grand for a day. They teach people how to pour milk in a fucking cup. Boom. You've got a coffee brand. You've got an online school. You're doing seminars. You were a nobody. You worked in Starbucks. You were a loser. You put in a little bit of effort. Now you drive a Ferrari. Done. It is that easy to get rich in the world today if you actually try. Some people are so lazy that they will work every day instead of get rich. And they think because they're working every day that they're not lazy. I'll argue you're exceptionally lazy because you're so lazy that instead of trying and thinking outside of the box, you now have to enslave yourself for eternity. Everything I just told you about that could work for an electrician. So you ask, how can people make money? Well, let's imagine every barista who watches this now tries my idea. The winner is going to be one, the person who makes the most beautiful coffee, the person who makes the most beautiful videos, the person who works the longest, who tries the hardest, who makes the most videos, who makes his $9 Secrets of Coffee book that he sells on Amazon the best book, who gives the most value in his masterclass, who gets the best coffee beans for his coffee brand. And then it comes down to hard work. People say work smart, not hard. Disagree. Work smart and hard, because lots of people are working smart. I work smart and hard. So there's no avoiding the hard work. This idea that you can work smart and not hard, I don't buy that. I believe you're going to have to work hard, but you have to work on the right thing and work smart first. If you don't work smart, you're not on the starting line. So working smart puts you on the starting line. Then you got to work hard to win the race. The one of you that works hardest is going to be the one that makes the money. And then perhaps if you make a bunch of money, you can join the war room and you can come and speak to one of us in person. When you believe in something, you give it power. So I tried to say that when I felt at my lowest and I achieved the most I've ever achieved in my life, the reason I was capable of doing that is because I didn't believe in the paradigm of being a depressed person. I just believed that this is how I currently feel. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my life to be better. And I gave a very simple example, an analogy. I said, if you take two people, one believes in ghosts and one doesn't. You put them both in haunted houses. And in the middle of the night, there's a bang. The person who believes in ghosts is now terrified. There's a ghost. They're calling an exorcist. They're panicking in the room. They're hiding. The person who doesn't believe in ghosts goes wind and goes back to sleep. It's the same noise. It's the same scenario, but it's the belief in their mind that and ruins their life. Yeah. It's the belief in their mind that turns against them. And I've said this many times. I don't even give a shit about right and wrong. You can tell me you can give me with every scientific proof in the world, depression, blah, blah. I refuse to believe in things that take my power away from me. I'm only going to construct a mental model that allows me to be as powerful as possible. If believing in the idea of depression is going to take my own power away, then I won't believe in it. I don't want to believe in things that make me weak. I believe in things that make me strong. And someone goes, oh, you're wrong. Let's assume you're correct and that makes me wrong. Let's say that you're right and you're depressed. Why would I want to adopt the thinking of a man who is sad? Why would I want to think like you? I don't believe in things that take power from me. I never have. So when people email me and they start saying, I'm depressed. And what's funny is this, and they desperately defend the idea of depression. I'm like, my friend, you just told me you're too depressed to be successful and depression has destroyed your life and you lost your girl. I'm telling you that the enemy in your life isn't real. And you're now sending me 10 emails a week trying to convince me that your enemy is a real thing. Why are you sticking up for your enemy? This person, whatever it is, this idea destroyed you and you're putting your energy into defending it. I'm never going to believe you. I'm never going to adopt your thinking because your life is not successful enough for me to emulate. So why don't you try to adopt my way of thinking? Stop defending this. And they're defending it because it's a cure-all excuse. Depression or sadness is a cure-all excuse for men to use for failure. I have failed. This is why they say I don't believe in men's mental health, or the man who's depressed can't compete with the man who's not depressed. This quote. I say, listen, you get to roll out, be fat, be out of shape, be broke, be unimportant with no girlfriend. And instead of the world thinking you're a loser, you get to say, I'm not a loser. I'm depressed. It's a shield. Yeah. And I say, that's why you don't want to lose your shield. Because now you have accountability. Now you have performance. It's a cop out. Get off. I don't give a shit if it's real or not. We're not about that. We're talking about success here. Get rid of your excuses. Stop defending the thing that's ruined your life and get to fucking work. And every time anyone has ever listened to me in history, every single one of them's transformed their lives and messaged me positive messages afterwards. Every single fucking time. That's why I'm antidepressant. Because that pill ain't going to fix you the way becoming the man you wish you were is going to fix you. So I don't like negativity in my space. I curate my reality extremely efficient. We don't believe in negativity because it's infectious and it's sticky. And even if someone's negative, even if you talk them out of it, it still stains the air, right? If you're in a trench and you're under fire, the least productive person is the person who goes, they've got too much artillery, we're going to die. Shut up. We all know. Shut up. That's not helping us, right? It's very infectious. So, and most people understand, they say, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Yeah. Then why the fuck are you spending time with negative people or people who complain or unhappy people or unlucky people or negative people? Stop talking to them. Everyone I talk to is like, yeah, we are winners. All we do is fucking win.
If you want something, you find time. So don't sit and lie to me and pretend that you want to network and you can't do it and you want to make money and you don't have time. Because if you really wanted to, you'd be able to do everything. You get what you give in the world. If you want to feel loved, the best way to do that is to give love. If you want to feel respected, the best way to do that is to give respect. If you want to have good brothers, the best way to do that is to be a good brother yourself. And you're not a very good brother if you're broke. You're not a very good brother if you're not a very good brother if you're lazy, and you're not a very good brother if you're weak. So those are 4 things you can improve, because birds of a feather flock together. And I don't hang around with anybody who's those 4 things. If you can sleep just fine being broke, then guess what? You're always going to be broke. That's life. If you go to bed and you can't sleep because you're furious at the fact that I can buy a new supercar every day and you don't have a single one, then you might do something about it. So it's down to you and it's your own personal decisions. And I think we've discussed this in a lot of different emergency meetings, but there's no such thing as busy. There's no such thing as don't have time. That's all garbage. There's only 3 reasons people don't have money, and I've discussed them before. It's being stupid, it's being lazy, it's being arrogant. And to me, you sound like, well, you're not stupid because you're inside the real world and you're making money. You're not particularly arrogant because you're asking us how to do it. That's fine, but perhaps you're a little bit lazy. So you need to know what to do. You need to get it done.
Well, it's not an issue of juggling things. Everyone only has 24 hours in the day. So me, with my net worth, I have 24 hours in the day. Someone who's completely broke and, is wasting their life playing video games who has no money, he also has 24 hours in the day. So it's not about juggling. It's simply about choices, and it's about discipline. The truth is you have to do all of them. And especially when you're young, I'm getting a bit older now, but especially when you're young, my advice is sleep less. Oh, I don't have time to work out. How many hours a day do you sleep? 7? Make it 6. The energy boost from being in shape will compensate for the 1 hour lost sleep.
So we live in a very, very fast world now where things are happening extremely quickly, and people who are slow or are slow to adapt or slow to change always get left behind and get wrecked. Darwin said it in The Origin of Species, said that the most adaptable species survive. He didn't say it's the strongest or the fastest or the hardest to kill. He says it's the most adaptable, the one that can adapt quickest to a changing scenario or a changing situation. And I think it's the same for humans as well. The ones who are going to be the most successful are usually the most adaptable, and also the quickest. Think about the people who quickly adopted to, I don't know, Bitcoin, for example, or quickly adapted to selling things online, or quickly adapted to starting their own YouTube channel. Being first, you'll do very well going first. Mm-hmm. So adaptation is extremely important. Speed's extremely important. And most people are living under constraints, and the largest constraints they have are obviously the order of society, which is constructed by governments because governments need to know who's inside of their countries and who lives there and who travels. Of course they do. Why wouldn't they? And if you have one government that's constraining you, you lack adaptability. So that's adaptability. I have a choice. I have an option that other people don't have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you got to be able to be mobile, man. And if anything, you know, the little cough situation that happened about 2 years ago, guys, showed that you really can be enslaved anytime. And you guys got to be able to, you know, you got to create that freedom for yourself.
And I think one of the biggest problems with the world today is that men keep talking about how they feel. There's not a single man around me who says, I feel. Like, I live with guys and we have this big house and we're all having fun all the time. And I'm trying to think of a man around me who says, I feel, because nobody cares. Why would I care how you feel? Why would life care how you feel? Society doesn't care how men feel. So if nobody cares how men feel, why do they care how they feel? You wake up and you have a list of things that need to be done. You're either going to do them or you're going to make excuses. And how you feel has no bearing on that list. The list must be completed irregardless of how you feel. So why are we even putting importance on those feelings? I think you learn to ignore feelings early on. You can learn to ignore pain and many other things. And I think that's the best way a man should be. I think that's how you become brutally competent and competitive. If you have values, whatever they are, then you're going to have to sustain those values. If you don't work for something or you're not prepared to suffer or struggle for something, then you don't love it and you don't believe in it anyway. If you love a woman, you'll struggle to keep her.
Right.
If you love a country, you'll struggle to defend it. If you love a sport
or business
a business, you're going to work for it. Right. If you're not working for it, then you don't love it anyway. So the values come with obligations, and those obligations are to fulfill your duty irregardless of how you feel. Bad things can happen. It's a terrible experience. You're going to suffer. I enjoy all of those things. If you ask the average man to think back on the times of his life that he really suffered or he hated, usually if they're a good man, retrospectively, they're glad they happened. At the time, you may hate them, but not very many men are going to sit and say, oh, I wish I didn't have to go through that. Maybe the loss of a loved one or something. But in general, I think they're the best things that ever happened to people. I'll give you an example. I had a guy message me and he said, Andrew, I don't know what to do. I'm 5'1". I'm really short. I'm training and I've got lots of money and I'm really short and I don't know what to do. I was like, bro, do exactly what you do if you were tall. Be confident and be your best self and train as hard as possible and be a good person and make money and be dedicated and be diligent. Why would anything change? You are who you are and you play the hand you have. Just like in poker, you can't help if you have pocket aces or something else. Yeah. You play the hand and that's how you win the game. Yeah, you can win a game with nothing. Yeah. You can bluff your way through it. So when I say I don't have insecurities, it's not because I can't think of anything about myself that isn't perfect. It's just because I don't care. It doesn't matter. This is who I am. This is the life I'm going to live. I'm going to do my absolute best, irregardless of what I have. Heaven forbid something bad happens to me. I'm in a car crash and I lose my arm. Well, I'll still get up and just train and work and see my children, and I'll do exactly the same things I'm doing now. What can you do? So I think insecurities are a waste of time. I think it's a waste of cognition to even sit and consider an insecurity. I am who I am. So I don't know. I can't think of any insecurities. I can't. War is certain for all of us. We're all fighting different battles. You can either suffer the intense pain it requires to become a somebody or suffer the intense pain of being a forever nobody. Yeah. It's your choice. With great power comes great responsibility. My content existed because I tried my very hardest to be an absolute and utter realist, especially with uncomfortable truths. I was pointing out that very uncomfortable.
Is that a truth? Then?
It's an uncomfortable truth in many parts of the world. It's not a truth that I'm happy about. I don't want to be seen as a negative influence in the world. I know that there's a whole bunch of men. I get thousands of emails a week from men whose lives I've saved. I get thousands of emails a week from men who are on the verge of suicide and I've saved their lives. I believe in protecting and providing. I've been misunderstood. I don't want anybody to be offended by anything I say. I want to be a positive force in the world. I don't want anybody to hear what I say and make them feel bad about themselves. I want all people to live righteous and good, whether they're male or female. I think righteous is living true to your heart and knowing that you're doing good by people, not snaking anybody, not lying to anybody. I know I live a very righteous life. The government is not capable of helping the poor. And this is why it's so important as a person, you take personal responsibility and understand you're living in a world where the matrix can be cracked. You can make a bunch of money, but you need to take responsibility and do it. I refuse to accept that there are people out there who cannot become happy, contented individuals. I refuse to accept we live in a world where God has created people who, no matter how hard they work and how good their life becomes, can't be happy. I don't accept that. I accept that the universe is a very giving place and that God loves all of us. And if you try your best and you work hard, you can become a better person.
I'm telling the younger generation that if they don't get up and work hard and make sure that they're important, that the world's not going to give a shit about them. 99% of my content was aimed at men, telling them the truth, saying that as a man, you're born with no inherent value. You have to become important. You have to go through some pain or go through some suffering to make people care about you. Otherwise, you're not going to matter. As a dude, if you walk into the party and you've put no effort into your life, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about you. And every man out here knows. And one of the great things about the masculine journey and masculinity is that we've all lived a semi-similar story. It's kind of cool. Like, we've all been the teenager, gets heartbroken. We've all been unimportant. We've all like worked hard and then started to get some clout. And then we've all kind of lived the same kind of journey. So I say to everybody out there, yeah, if you don't follow that path and follow that journey and in one way or another get to the top, whether it's fighting, whether it's comedy, whether it's musician, whatever it is, if you're just going to stay somewhere near the bottom and then at the age of 44, email me saying I'm depressed. Well, of course you're depressed. You're a loser.
Yeah.
But that was your choice because you have to build yourself as a man. And if you decide not to build yourself, then your life's going to suck.
My main message is to resist the slave mind, to understand that every single thing you're being told has an agenda behind it or you wouldn't be told it otherwise, to examine every strongly held belief you have and try and identify where it comes from and why you have it. I sit and argue with people. I discuss things with people and they so fervently believe a point. And I say, why do you believe that so much? Like, do you have personal experience? No, but I saw the news. The news told you X and now you are desperate. You will sit here for hours arguing that point. A lot of people are completely empty vessels ready to be programmed. And I try and tell people, listen, to just stop for a second and understand that the things they're telling you to believe are not necessarily for your benefit. The people who make the rules don't make the rules for the benefit of everybody. They make the rules for the benefit of the people who make the rules of the game. So, telling people to resist a slave mind and just be critical thinkers, keep their brain open, pay attention to things, be perspicacious. That's the general theme. And it doesn't matter whether you're left, right, liberal, man, woman, etc. It's just think for yourself. That's the general message. I believe men and women are a beautiful union. I think we're slightly different, but when we work together, we're the most powerful force in the world. And I certainly believe that men and women, when they work together, it's the most beautiful force on the planet. So of course I believe in men and women. Of course I believe in love. Of course I believe in marriage. Of course I believe in family. Okay. I believe in marriage in the traditional sense. I believe a man has a duty to stand up and be a real man. I believe that the problem with the world today that we are facing is that not enough men are sticking to the age-old ways of masculinity. I believe that me standing up and saying a man must protect a woman and provide for her, so he needs to make sure that she's safe. He needs a degree of authority. I believe women are sovereign individuals and they can make any choice they so desire. I think that it's important that we remember that a man has a duty. I think I certainly in my relationship have a financial responsibility to provide for my woman. My woman would never have to work unless she wanted to because I'm the kind of person who works hard enough. And I'll make another point that needs to be said. The number of women who have stood up and stuck up for me is ignored. Thousands of women are making videos saying, I've met Andrew Tate. He's such a nice guy. I wish I had a man like Andrew Tate who felt responsible to protect and provide for me. You know what? I do belong to my husband. And that's why I married him and I love him. We ignore the thousands of women who stood up and stood by me and said everything I said is true. This is that there's a large contingent of men who still want to make money, go to the gym, be strong, drive a fast car, be traditionally masculine, and don't want to be shamed for that. And I believe that feeling depressed is real. I don't believe depression as a clinical disease is real. No. I think PTSD is very real. Unfortunately, I have some friends who suffer from that. I know that feeling depressed is real. I believe that the number one power you have against these things are trying to take control of your own mind and affecting your own life. I believe that it's not healthy to hand over all your power and believe that depression is an outside disease that you can't affect. I know that when I've had difficult periods in my life, and also many of my friends, like I've said, suffered from PTSD and been through terrible things. I've lived a very difficult life, and I know people who have. That the things that made them feel better is when they woke up and said, you know what, I'm not going to allow this to damage me anymore. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to get up and I'm going to fight this as hard as I can. If someone comes to me and says I'm clinically depressed or I feel very, very sad, I would say the first thing you need to do is stop accepting the identity of a clinically depressed person. Stop accepting you have no control over this. And what you need to do is stop identifying that way and let's work together to try and fight against it. A lot of people who are clinically depressed are suffering with something in their life. And if you fix the problem in their life, perhaps they won't feel depressed anymore. The thousands of people who have emailed me saying, my doctor told me I was clinically depressed and it's a disease that I have got in my brain and I can't be fixed. And I started listening to you and I realized that that's not the case and I can fix my own life. And you're the only person who has ever helped me. I believe feeling depressed is real. I do not believe it's a disease that you catch from the sky and you cannot affect. I believe that no matter what happens, I believe you have control of your own mind and you can fight against it. I believe if you change your circumstances in your life, you may feel different. I'll give you a quick example. I had a guy who emailed me saying he was clinically depressed and he was going to kill himself. I obviously am not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I told him, because I replied to my emails. I said, have you been to a psychiatrist? He said, yes, I'm clinically depressed. I've been on these pills, this amount of time. I'm on antidepressants. It doesn't work. I said, I don't know what to say to you besides this. And he said he lost his girlfriend. That's why he became clinically depressed. I said, listen, go to the gym, get a 6-pack first. Once you've got a 6-pack, email me again. If you still feel like killing yourself, I don't know what else to say to you. But I'd say strong body is a strong mind. Go train. He went, he started sending me progress pictures, emailing me him getting in better shape, and eventually got a 6-pack. He's now a professional bodybuilder. And he said, I can't believe I was considering that. I feel so much better, etc. The doctor was telling him he was clinically depressed and couldn't cure it. He started taking control of his own life, and now he felt better. That if somebody has depression of any kind, whether it's clinical, whether it exists or not, whether they feel depressed or not, whatever, that taking control of their life, taking personal responsibility and working hard is always going to be the positive, best thing they can possibly do for their life going forward.
How positive is it?
Them. Of course, money can't buy happiness. I agree. But money is the third most important thing in the world. First is your health, because you have nothing if you're going to die. Second is your relationships, because you need love and family. That matters the most. But money can buy everything else. So money's the third most important thing. The average people come to me and say, what do I do? I'm just the average guy. And my only answer is stop being the average guy. That's my only answer. You can't just be the average guy anymore. The idea from the 1950s that you can just be the normal, average, law-abiding, hard-working citizen and you'll have a good life is gone. Any man out here who goes, I'm just going to work hard, do my bit, and obey the laws, and I'll have a good life. No, you won't. No, you will not. Just doing your job is never going to make you rich, because you're just going to be taxed into infinity and you're going to stay broke. So just obeying laws and doing your job now has set you up to be a peon and a slave for eternity. You have to get yourself in a position where you're making enough money. You don't know what to talk about, then you don't understand money. So go learn how money works. Go learn how a bank works. Go sit on YouTube for free. You don't just pay 50 grand in 4 years like a university. Go sit on YouTube and understand money, banking, or the real estate market, any of it. Understand the last housing price crash, why it happened. Understand mortgage rates and how that's affected by interest rates. Understand it, and then go sit with someone else who understands it and talk about it. People should, even if they haven't got a penny in the world, should be going to these meetings about real estate, about investing, that especially if it's cheap, they should go. Just meet other people who at least have money. Have conversations about money. Talk about it. How are you going to get what you don't talk about? And yes, the cycle of precipitation, right? So a cloud comes, it rains, it falls down to the ground, it goes under the ground, whatever, goes into a stream, it moves into the stream, goes to the ocean, evaporates again up into a cloud, floats somewhere else, falls down again. It's always moving. That's how money is. People think that money is in these large stagnant pools hidden in people's bank accounts. That's not really true. Money is constantly moving all the time. And if you can find a way to get in between it and stand in the right place at the right time, you're going to get wet. I think that's the new modern way to view the world. It's an attention economy. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're getting attention, you'll make money from it. One habit that people need to adopt, and this is a habit I had for a very long time, and I've actually recently cleared it from my brain because I've reached a point where peace of mind is worth more than money. But every single time money is spent, you need to identify how your money was taken from you. And I say taken because money can't be made. Money is taken. Because the only people who can make money are the governments. If you're a government, you can make money. You can print it from thin air or a bank. But if you're a person, you're not making money. You're convincing other people to give it to you. You're taking money from others. So every single time you spend money on anything, you need to identify how it was taken from you. When you go and buy a coffee, don't just go buy the coffee and sit down. Sit and say, why did I buy this coffee? Okay, I really wanted coffee. Yeah. But then why did I go into this store and not that store? Is it better advertising? Does it have less of a line? Do they have seating? How did they convince me to come in here? How much did this coffee cost? £6. What's the profit margin on that? Probably £5.50, £5.80 probably by the time. The cup probably costs more than the coffee. The coffee is just water. How did they convince me to spend £6 in this place? And when you sit there and analyze and you all start to learn little lessons about business, you'll learn about the importance of the signage. You'll learn about the importance of there being no queue. Yeah. So that if you ever run a business, I say with my business, my people all the time, faster. All the time, quicker. Yeah. Like I have a couple businesses that are physical. I'm like, I don't want to see a line. I don't want it to see empty because it looks bad. So when there's lines, you work fast. When we're down to 1 or 2 people, you take your time, you talk to the customer. Right. You keep it so there's like always one person at the thing. Like manage the line. Like people don't think about this stuff. No one's going to sit and wait in a long queue. Maybe some idiots will, but people like me won't. We got shit to do, right? My time's worth money. I'm not going to stand and wait in a line. So you have to identify how your money is taken from you. If you start doing that with every single time you spend anything ever, you're going to start to identify business opportunities, and you're going to sit there and you're going to have coffee and you're going to go, you know what? They could have sold cake and they didn't. Could I outcompete this place? Let's imagine I had the money to start a coffee shop right next door. How would I outcompete them? Well, I'd have cake because they don't have cake. Also, most people in here are businessmen. And the guy serving some dude. No, we need a cute waitress. His ass is fired. We need a chick. Put a chick here. Put some cake in. Financial Times. Business people in. People don't even think about this stuff. They don't use their brain ever. They don't ever look around and realize how they're spending their money. They don't look around and look at which businesses are successful. They don't look around and pay attention to anything. They don't look at the world and all the things that are happening and how it can benefit them. None of it. They don't look at any of it. They're too busy following the circus. That's why it's clown world. I was walking to college with a couple of my friends, and a Ferrari drove past. And I said, bro, you see that? And he goes, yeah, what about it? I said, doesn't that piss you off? I must be about 16. He goes, why? So this dude has 400 G's for a car, 400 grand. I'm walking 4 miles to college because my mom hasn't got any car. He has 400 grand. Do you think he works a job? Do you think he's behind a counter somewhere? He knows something about the world that I don't know. And they were like, well, he's rich. I'm like, yeah, I know. I didn't say he wasn't rich, dummy. I'm saying he knows something about the world I don't know. And I was intrigued, and it angered me. I couldn't sleep for weeks. I was pissed off. Every time I saw somebody with genuine money, I understood that everything I was being told and taught and they were trying to make me believe just simply wasn't true. I was like, none of these people are getting these things by following the path that the system is trying to make me follow. And everybody intrinsically knows this. If you go to if you're at a BP, you're at a petrol station, and I pull up in my Lamborghini, nobody goes, wow, he went to school. Yeah. He studied hard. And they do that because they know that the easiest way to amass wealth is to break the rules, because the rules are not designed to allow most people to make money. You can make money within the rules. Of course you can. But most people don't. Most people who follow the path work, consume, die. That's it. So I always knew the same thing as you, and I knew there had to be another way. I knew that just working for money was a paradigm that wasn't true. And then you understand making your money work for you, and you understand delinking your time from money. Yeah. You start learning to understand these things, but eventually you build a system and you build an ecosystem like me. I have 60 or 70 people work for me all around the world, and things just happen and money just kind of appears as long as everything's well organized. I mean, in my experience, like imagine if I didn't have all this money and I had to go get a job again, I'd get a sales job because I've always been a salesman. And, I think that's a very important life skill to have, to be good at sales and to deal with the stress and have a commission only environment. But I don't know if they even teach sales in university. Yeah, it's all garbage. They don't teach anything important. They just teach anything. They teach things that are going to keep you inside the slave mind. And they want you to go to school and then go to college and then go to university and get in debt. And you have to be in debt so that now you have to work. And you're working and you're in debt, and then they want you to take on more debt if possible in the form of a mortgage, which a lot of people do, which we can talk about because I know you're the property guy. Yeah. And then you're in debt now, and once you're in debt, you can't really quit your job, and it's very difficult for you to leave the country. And now they can hold things over you. That's the goal. It's all about control mechanisms, and the system is very well designed to make sure that people are conditioned to obey. It's very hard for the average person to say no to anything. Unless you have millions and millions and millions of dollars, it's very difficult to even have an opinion on subjects.
That's the thing about being a man. And that's what I was saying to the kids. It's like, look, you need to get up, and it's going to be very, very difficult. The world's getting harder and harder, especially for men. It's all clout. It's all status. There's no way you're going to matter unless you get up and you work extremely hard.
Should young men aspire to work very hard, have no criminal record, become multimillionaires, protect and provide for the women close to them, be sovereign so they can stand up and have their own points of view in face of cancellation, be able to not be mentally intimidated when they go on national TV and there's traps set up for them? Yeah, I believe that confident, strong men who stand up and protect and provide for women are a good thing for the world and a good force for the world. And I don't think that I put a magic spell on anybody. I think there's a whole bunch of men in the world who understands my value. And if men grow up to be like me, you're going to have a whole bunch of people with no criminal record, dedicated athletes who protect and provide for the people close to them.
The reason you lose is because you've been programmed to lose by all of your experiences throughout life. Winners are programmed, losers are programmed. I was programmed to be a winner in any scenario because I was raised in a very specific way. You were not. So we're going to start at the absolute beginning of why you've ended up a loser, because most of you never self-reflect. You're dummies who never look in the mirror and say, how did I end up where I am? Why am I the person I am? Why do I believe the things I believe? You don't self-analyze. So you don't understand how your own mind works, which means you don't understand why you are where you are. Because before you make a move on the chessboard, you need to analyze your position. By analyzing the board, the smartest thing you can do is to try and take your strengths and play them off against your weaknesses. So if you're poor, you have hunger and motivation, what you have to do is fix the things you don't have. You need to get around rich people. You need to get a good network of people you can trust who have a lot of money. You need to find a teacher who's prepared to teach you how money really works. That's the first thing. The second thing, and your biggest problem to fix, is your monumental laziness. And you have to understand that you innately are lazy. You innately lack hunger and fire. You're innately afraid. You're a coward. You lack the balls it takes in many scenarios to get rich or die trying. That's the truth. People in the ghetto already have the fire. Those brothers already have fire. Yeah. They're already prepared to do anything it takes. You need to ignite the fire inside of you. You need to make sure there's something inside of you that's going to get you motivated like a poor person's hunger, because you've never felt it before. Because the poor don't need motivation. The poor understand what it's like to be taken advantage of. And the poor understand what happens when you have no money and no food. You don't. You're not poor. You have food in your fridge, but you lack motivation because you're a dipshit. And that's why you've actually had a very bad start in life. You need, and this is very important, not only do you lack fire, you lack imagination. Because when you're poor, let me tell you something poor people do all the time. You imagine. My brother and I used to sit around and talk about what could be if only we managed to get it out. How it would feel to have this car. How it would feel to be in this place. How it would feel to be famous and internationally renowned. How it would feel to go to Saint-Tropez and live on a yacht. How it would feel to be able to fly on private planes. How it would feel to not have to worry about food anymore. My brother and I used to imagine for hours. We used to talk about it. We believed in this version of reality where we somehow made it. Not only do you lack motivation, you lack imagination. And that's why it's very important. You need to start believing you are the man, even if you're not yet. Before I was world champion, I knew I was going to be world champion. You have to believe these things. We had imagination and we had hunger and fire. You don't have those things. That's why you're fucked. Do you not understand? It doesn't matter how tired I get when I fight. I'm never actually tired because I am so desperate to hurt my opponent. I am more desperate to hurt him than I am tired. In all realms, forever. That is the hunger and motivation. That's why boxers start poor. That's why fighters are poor. There's a different mentality they're born with. They imagine being champion. They're prepared to do anything it takes. They have hunger and fire inside of them. There's no middle class champions. None. So it's extremely important you develop your imagination as well as your fire. And I'm saying this to you because there's a whole bunch of you who don't realize how badly you've failed. You need to start imagining what actual freedom is. You need to start seeing beyond the confines of your comfort. You need to start developing the hunger it's going to take for you to elevate to the highest possible echelons and stop being enslaved by your comfort, because that's what you're enslaved by. It's extremely important. Your future is the result of your daily actions. You're defined by what you do today. Lazy now, loser later. Get to work. Now, what have you done today which is going to positively affect the outcome of your future? When have you sat and imagined your dream life? When have you self-analyzed and self-reflected and tried to work out where you've gone wrong to end up such a mediocre specimen of man? Why can't you go down to the dealer and buy a brand new Lamborghini right now? Why not? Is it a lack of money? Is it a lack of, what is it? Is it only money? Are you afraid if you buy one, you'll get robbed? What is stopping you? Have you even thought about any of these things? Has it even crossed your mind? It's extremely important, gentlemen, that you understand the chessboard and understand exactly where you are so you can make changes. Most of you are not actively building a future. You're not actively trying to build the dream life that you want to have. And then you expect it to just appear. Do you know why? Because when you were born in the middle, your parents put food in the fridge. It just appeared. The heating was just on because it was cold outside. We knew you never had that problem. That's why people at the bottom, we understand intricately. We understand this viscerally. We understand that nothing is going to come to us unless we go out there and get it ourselves. And once you have that, you have endless motivation for all things. That is extremely important. You have to train a fighter, a boxer. Do you want somebody who has poor nutrition and poor sleep, but endless fire inside of them, someone poor, to turn them into Muhammad Ali? Or do you want somebody with a good bed and good food, but lacks fire? Which one do you think is going to become a champion? Which boxers have become champion historically across time? Were they rich men? Were they from middle class incomes? Or were they from the ghetto? Were they from the bottom? It is all a test. It's all a test. You watch me because I perform flawlessly, and I'm not afraid to pay the price. You'd be up here with me if you were brave. When I say brave, and this is a genuine question, when is the last time you made a brave decision? When's the last time you took a brave route and did a brave thing? And I want you to actually take a few seconds and ask yourself that question and answer it. Bravery is a muscle like every other one that must be flexed and used to grow. Bravery is extremely important, and Bitcoin's a super easy answer. What's the worst that can happen? You lose your money? Do you think people like us were afraid to buy crypto once we worked it out? Once we were told about Bitcoin at $800, do you think we were afraid to buy it because we might lose money? Do you not understand? People like us don't give a fuck. That's how we end up here. Oh, you're lacking hunger. You're scared to be brave. You're lazy.
I don't want to put my $6,000 into Bitcoin. I might lose it.
I might lose it. Because you lack bravery. So, if you've done nothing brave that you can mention instantly off the top of your head, then what you need to do is something brave quickly. I'm not quitting. That's called handing the prize to somebody else. There are a certain number of prizes in the universe. There are stars that exist. They're just out there. There's prizes. So the people at the bottom have something that you don't have. It's hunger. You need to now, and this is the actionable, guys, you need to cultivate a lifestyle which is going to endlessly give you fire inside of your heart so that you never struggle with motivation ever again. You need to cultivate that with your social circle. So you need to be around motivated, hungry men. You need to cultivate it with the decisions you make. If smoking weed kills your fire, don't smoke weed. If drinking booze kills your fire, don't drink booze. Everything you need to do. If drinking booze gives you fire, then drink it. I don't care. But you need to sit down and look at your life and say, what's going to make me as motivated as possible? Is it developing an imagination to imagine my dream life? I'm sure it is. Is it having a social circle of people who are always trying to elevate? I'm sure it is. Is it having a girlfriend who supports me in all of my dreams? I'm sure it is. You need to then sit there, look at every facet of your life, analyze it one by one, and develop a lifestyle which is going to give you endless fire, because without it, you are going to lose. You are broken inside. You are lacking a fire inside of you, because once you get that fire, you become invincible. The fire inside of your heart makes you hard to kill, truthfully. It's the fire inside of your heart that makes you uncrushable. The kind of cockroach which survives a nuclear explosion. It is extremely important that you are never in a position where you lack motivation ever again. It is extremely important that you never fuck up an opportunity that is handed to you ever again. And these things are conscious choices you make by changing your lifestyle. There's nothing stopping you from winning besides yourself. I have now given you an actionable. The actionable is for you to design your life around getting endless motivation and fire in all ways. Everything you do needs to be deliberately geared and designed towards giving you motivation and making you feel hunger inside of yourself. Then you must take all of that fire, turn it into positive energy, and exude it out into the universe. If you want it to rain and you don't know what to do a rain dance. Perhaps the rain dance will not make the clouds seed. However, God will be happy that you're taking action as opposed to just sitting still, quietly waiting for rain to appear while being submissive and subservient. No, you have to go out there and do things. God wants to see you take care of what he has given you. Nobody continues to give gifts to the ungrateful. This is absolutely true about life. It's extremely important that you show God that you deserve it. Your discipline will shape your destiny, but it is extremely easy to be disciplined if all you've ever known is struggle. Guys, You as a man should be offended by the fact that my brother and I started miles below you and have surpassed you in every single human metric. That should bother you. But you should also sit there and go, why are they beating me? They started below me. They started the race way back there. And I was so lazy and so stupid, and I took life for granted, and I expected everything to be given to me, that these guys have managed to lap me and surpass me based purely on hunger and grit alone. They had no advantages. All they had was this innate desire to do anything it took. Now is the time. Every single day you need to wake up, take action, and get things done. And we are waiting for you up here at the top.
You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. The thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up. He gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic.
People often ask me, especially when I put up a picture on Instagram, how I'm in such good shape. Say, how are you in such good shape when all you do is travel the world and drink alcohol and smoke cigars?
The idea
you barely
of
go
it.
to the gym. And I say that I train in my sleep, and they call me crazy. Because I can lucidly dream, because I can control my dreams, which is another podcast in and of itself. I train in my dreams. I convince my mind that I've trained. I convince my mind that I need to be ready for war, and my body reacts accordingly. It is the ideas that are real. What do they say in the Matrix? The body cannot exist without the mind. It's the ideas that are real. An idea in and of itself is real enough. If you remember a dream the same way you remember a real event, they are basically the same. My body proves that because I do most of my training as I sleep. So lucid dreaming is basically, I don't know if anyone's here has had a dream that you realize is a dream and then you can control it. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
So you're in a dream and then you go, for me personally, I'll be in a dream and something will happen and I go, that doesn't make sense. Oh, wait, I'm dreaming. And then I can fly and shit. Now, usually I can only do it for like a minute or two in dream time. You know, time is a bit different in dreams until the dream ends. And I usually wake up where the dream ends. So it's kind of annoying because sometimes I'll be in a dream and I'll realize it's a dream and I'll start doing some shit. And then I'll also consciously know that I'm running out of time before the dream ends. It's weird. So that's how I dream. So the way I do that, and when I say that I use my dreams to calculate things, is because if you're ever heartbroken or upset or you're really worried or stressed, you might dream about the problem. So I do that consciously. If I have a problem in my life or something I have to worry about or be concerned about, I'll try and make sure I dream about it. And then in the dream, I know I'm in a dream. And it's basically dedicating time of my life, dedicating the time I was sleeping to solving a problem or dealing with a problem. How many amazing songs have been written in a dream? Or how many scientific, discoveries were from dreams? Look up discoveries from dreams. The number of scientists who woke up and go, bang, it came to me in my sleep, it came to me in my dream, because you're obsessed with a problem and your mind works it out at rest. So the key to lucid dreaming is this. You have to try and remember your last thought before you fall asleep. And I know that sounds easy, but think about last night when you went to sleep. Your eyes were closed. You were thinking of this, then you were thinking of this, then you were thinking of this, and then you were half awake because you kind of heard a noise and you felt the covers on you, but you weren't asleep, but you weren't awake. But what were you thinking of? Kind of nothing. You have to remember the exact last thought you had before you went to sleep. And it's harder to do than you think, because when you start doing that, you start turning your brain on to focus and then you can't sleep. So you have to do it like Zen. You have to just Zen go, I'm going to sleep, but I'm going to keep track. Right now I'm thinking of this dumb shit. Okay, now I'm thinking of that dumb shit. And sequentially in order, remember all the things you're thinking about until you remember the last thing you thought about before you went to sleep. When I started learning how to do that, there on out, about 70% of the times I would dream, it would be lucid. And I genuinely, even to this day, I'll be in a dream doing whatever. And I'll lift up a cat and go, that has no weight. This is a dream. Okay, this is a dream. So I'll just float through this wall quickly. Where's Tristan? Or me go on the computer, and I'll just control it for like 2 minutes. It's weird, but it happens by remembering what you're thinking about before you fall asleep. And if you actually genuinely think about that task and think about now when you go to sleep, you'll be trying to do it and you'll realize I'm thinking a bunch of bullshit, or I'm thinking of a memory, or I'm half remembering something, that your mind kind of falls apart a little bit as you fall asleep. If you can keep track of it, you can control your dreams. And for me, if I ever have a genuine real issue, I can literally say I'll deal with it. I'll think about that later when I'm sleeping. I know it sounds stupid, but it's true. I would accredit it to my success when I was kickboxing. I believe that if my brain synapse is firing, it must have for X action, it must have a positive reflection on that action. If my X synapse, if the synapse in my brain is firing to slip a jab in a particular way, and my brain is firing, even if my body isn't moving, but my brain is firing to slip that jab, I believe that on a long enough time scale of my brain imagining me doing something repeatedly over and over and over again, I'm going to be better at doing that action, even if my body doesn't reflect. So when I say I train in my dreams, that's exactly what I mean. I would train, I imagine slipping punches in my dreams and how I would do it. And although my body wasn't doing the thing because I was asleep, but my synapses were firing the same. And I believe that had a positive impact and a positive effect. That can't be proved, but I believe it. And if I believe it, that also gives it power.
There's so much work for you to do as a man. I don't know how people I barely sleep and I never not work and I never lay in. I'm never lazy. And I don't understand how people don't work all of the time. And when I say that, people say, but work on what? I don't know what to work on. Bro, you need 10 passports. You need 25 bank accounts. You need shell companies. You need a trust fund. You need to make some money. You then need to move that money away. You need multiple places to live. You need a place for your children to live. They need a trust fund. You have stuff to do.
Yep.
And the people are just sitting around doing nothing. It's mind-boggling to me. And there are some people who you just can't help. There is a huge percentage of the populace which they're beyond saving because they're the worst thing you can possibly be, which is a quitter. Being a quitter is the worst thing you can possibly be. God himself can't make a quitter important because the only reason the place you're trying to get to has value is because it was difficult to reach. If everybody could reach it, there'd be no value. Value is linked to scarcity. The whole point gold is valuable is because it's not everywhere. If it was everywhere, it wouldn't have any value. The reason the place you're trying to reach is valuable is because people can't get there. So if you're the kind of person who quits, you're never going to get there. Quitters are the worst. You could give a quitter a map, a treasure map, and a hot air balloon and say, it's going to take you right to the treasure. It's going to be a 7-day journey. Here's a sandwich.
Yeah.
And halfway through, they'll be like, oh, I'm cold.
Yeah. You just said that, oh, 7 days now.
Yeah. And they'll quit.
Yeah.
Quitters will never make it. And there's a huge subsect of the populace who are basically simply quitters. I've never in my life seen anyone who's determined to get something not get it. I've never seen somebody who is determined in their heart to get something not get it. The universe and God is so giving and providing. People think it's difficult out here. I disagree. I've never seen someone wake up and say, nah, this is all I care about. This is all I want. Not get it. Everyone who thought that way in fighting was a world champion. Everyone who thought that way about money was rich. I've never seen anyone fail. Bro, I've seen people with no credit score and no job determined to get an R8 manage to get one on finance somehow. I've seen it. If it's all you want, you're going to get it.
You're going to find a way to
You're going to find a way.
Yeah.
People go, oh, I want this. If you wanted it, you'd have it.
Literally, I spoke to a man who had done a podcast recently, and he was saying if someone had a gun to your children's head and said to you, the only way I'm going to move this gun is by you making $1 million, you are going to make $1 million.
100%.
Yeah.
You're going to be motivated for the first time in your life. People often say, if you try your best, it's okay to fail. But what they don't understand, the true secret to the universe is that if you try your best, you never fail.
Yeah.
I can't stop myself working as a person who doesn't need money. And then there's people with no money who don't work. It blows my mind, which is why the winners are winners and the losers are losers. Losers do a little bit of work and rest. Winners work as hard as possible and worry they're not working hard enough. It's just a separation of personality types. And it's almost like you can't save these people. I have something I sent in my email recently. I said, you could give the average man a brand new Ferrari and a road map and a coffee and a full tank of gas and tell him the destination, success. And halfway along the drive, he'll quit because it's too far. No matter how well you set it up for people, they'll quit. Then they say, this is another thing that's amazing to me about motivation. I don't feel motivated. Newsflash, neither do I sometimes. You're not going to always feel like doing it. You have to do it anyway because it's your duty to do it because you don't want to be a loser. That's the whole point. If you felt like doing it all the time, then there would be no magic to it. The magic is that you do it regardless of how you feel.
How do you stay motivated when
I haven't missed a day of work in 10 years. I've never had a day off. Maybe I've had days where I've gone driving the supercars and I've only done 2 hours work instead of 8 hours. I've never had a day where I thought, okay, I'm not going to work.
Never once ever. My screen time on my phone is 9 hours a day, every day. I do not miss a day of work ever. If I'm the most viral Googled man on the earth, it does not change a fucking thing. I am working. Earth must be conquered. The matrix must be attacked and shattered. I do not stop. I will not quit. I will not surrender. I am not that person. I have zero interest in rest or respite. It's bullshit for cowards. Even the idea of resting aggravates my mind. So what I'm supposed to do this? Wait, let me practice.
Sure.
Yeah, that sucks.
No, but is there...
Sucks.
Bro, I got shit to do. Like, I can't even contemplate the idea. People say to me, if I had your money, Tate, I'd just go chill. That's why you'll never have my money, dummy.
Well,
because you just want to go do nothing. I don't want to do nothing. I want to do shit.
A lot of teens or young people or even adults, they're suffering from a lot of mental health issues.
Okay.
And what's your advice to them?
The world is hyper competitive. If you're going to be a man who's going to sit and say, I'm just sad, you are always going to lose in competition to men like me. Yeah. And there has to be losers for there to be winners. I am tired of sympathy. Sympathy doesn't work for anybody. I'm not going to sit here and be sympathetic for people who say they're too sad to try hard and be their best. Guess what? Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have an ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. Stay down there. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. We wake up and we perform regardless of how we feel day after day. So if I'm going to ignore my own feelings, I'm certainly not going to take into consideration anybody else's. Yeah. Why am I going to ignore how I feel and make sure I'm constantly performing regardless, flawlessly, and then sit and go, oh, but he doesn't feel good, so he's allowed to fuck up. No, you are not. You're not allowed to fuck up to your ancestors or to God or to yourself. You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. I can't comment on being a woman because I'm not one. But the baseline of masculinity as a whole is the thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up. He gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless. Yeah. So when a man sits there and says, oh, but you don't understand, I'm struggling with motivation. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a fucking loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me. Even people coming up saying hello to me. If you're depressed, don't even shake my hand. I do not have time for losers on any regard. Winners only.
What started that fire inside early on, or did it kind of just develop through time and get hotter and hotter?
Well, I think everybody has a fire inside of them, but it's pacified. It's deliberately extinguished by society because one, the matrix wants you docile, which is the first thing. And second thing is people live lives of comfort. A lot of people, I think all men are born with a masculine desire to conquer Earth. And I think you're only going to be happy if you're conquering. But if you're living a semi-comfortable life and your mother is nice to you and you're not under any pressure and the matrix is telling you it's fine to just be average, well, then you're going to be sitting there being average. I was never comforted. I was never given an easy life. I never had anyone in my life who was saying, don't worry, Andrew, it's okay to just be this guy. I was told the opposite all the time. I don't know if the fire inside of me is any bigger than it is inside of every other man. And I think that every man at home watching this, if they don't have the things they want in life, should feel a degree of resentment towards themselves or disappointment, understanding that they have the same desire and drive that I have. They just allowed themselves to be psyoped out of it. They've allowed the matrix or whoever to convince them it's okay to not be the man they could be. And I never allowed anybody to do that to me.
When I was 15, my first job was carrying boxes of fish from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. And I would run to work. So I'd leave the house at 6. I'd run an hour. I'd get there at 7. I'd finish work at 5. And then I'd run from there to the fight gym, get to the fight gym. I'd get there early before training started. I'd eat food next to the gym and then I'd train and then I would get a ride home from my girlfriend at the time. So my entire life was 17 hours a day of just running and working and carrying boxes and fighting. The answer to everything has always been raw action. My dad had a tweet about this. He said that raw action solves all. And he used to say this. I'll give you an example. If you're a farmer and you need rain for your crop and there's no rain, you can sit there and say there's no rain. We're all going to starve. Or you can stand up and do a rain dance. Now, will your rain dance work? Perhaps not. Perhaps the rain won't come. But I would argue that you're better off standing up doing that rain dance than just sitting there waiting to die. You have to do something. Raw action solves. So when I was broke, I was never like, I'm poor. I'm poor. What do I do? It was, I'm poor. I have to do something. If I was broke, I'd go for a run. That's why I was such a great fighter. If I was broke, I'd sit there and go, I'm actually poor. How do I make money? Don't know. Where can I get some cash? Don't know. What work can I do? Don't know. Oh, I'll just go for a run then. And I just go for 3-mile run or go hit the punch bag and get better.
This resonates so deeply, man. This is exactly what I did.
That's exactly. You just have to say, well, I have to do something. I can't just sit still and die. A lot of people are happy to just sit still and die or jerk off and go to sleep and take a nap. Well, if that's what you want to do, then you can say a loser. That's fine. I'm glad there are losers, because if everyone had Lamborghinis, my Lamborghini wouldn't be fun to show off. I need you to look at it and feel the deep pain in your heart of regret and failure. That's the whole point of it.
I feel like we live in a world where there's not enough action. There's a lot of people who know things, all talk, but they're all talk. There's not enough action. They don't do anything. So we need to get some action moving. So we're going to begin this with some action. And I want you guys to understand something about every single decision you make in life. Every single decision you make in life is a pivoting point upon which you can embark on 2 different journeys. E.g., you decide if you want to jerk off or not.
Okay. This is an important one. This is a pivotal moment that many of you face daily, multiple times daily for some of you.
Get off, J.O. You can go yes or you can go no. But these 2 paths lead in completely different directions. You'll lead a completely different and new life depending on the decision you make. There's yes path and there's no path, and they're brand new lives. So the action we're going to try and inspire from you right now here early on is going to embark you down one of 2 paths. You're either going to take action and live the yes life, or you're going to sit around and do nothing like you've done for most of your human existence and live the no life.
And me as a man, when I put myself through hell, when I have had such exacting, such stringent standards for myself, why would I then have less exacting, stringent standards on the people I meet? Why would I put myself through hell to be me and then meet someone who didn't put themselves through hell and then treat them like my equal? No, f*** you. I suffered when you didn't. So you're not my equal because you decided not to suffer. You have enjoyed comfort when I haven't, and that's fine. But don't expect me to look at you as my equal because you're not. I'll snap your neck.
I think that as humans, especially as men, we only learn the hard way anyway. There's 2 ways to learn a lesson, the hard way and the hardest way. There's no easy way to learn a lesson. You have to learn the hard way. So God gives us lessons via difficulty. He thinks you need to learn this about yourself or this about other people. So I'm going to give you a difficult time so you can learn your lesson. Because if I just said, hey, Andrew, this is how the world works, you go, yeah. But when I show you, when you feel it, my fight coach used to say, you have to feel it to believe it. There's a lot of people who complain about the bad things that happen in their life, not understanding that without the bad things, you'd have no life at all. You need all of the bad things. You need the mental struggle. You need to go through things which you regret. You need to sit there so that if you've never regretted any action you've ever taken, how can you sit and make a intelligent decision for the future? You can't do it.
Yep.
You need to sit and say, well, I felt the sting of regret for X. I don't want to feel the sting of regret for Y. You need this experience. And that's what life is all about. People think that life is just the good times. And this is the massive misconception. But they say you should have no interest in what people think about you. That makes you insecure. And that is the largest psyop in history, to wake up and say, I'm not going to be successful. I'm not going to be strong. I'm not going to be interesting. I'm not going to go out there and test myself. And I'm not going to put honor on my last name, because I would hate for people to think I'm insecure. I'm secure. So it doesn't matter if you think I'm a loser, and it doesn't matter if I am a loser, because I'm just going to sit at home and I'm secure. No, it's not insecurity. It's called duty to your last name and honor. And that's just another one of the many different tentacles inside of the psyop octopus, trying to snatch any motivation left from the masculine spirit.
So Andrew, you're a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
You also have crypto.
Yep.
You also invest in different investments.
Yeah.
So for someone that's a young person coming up,
yeah,
what is the best piece of advice you can give to them to make it to be successful?
Right. So if someone were to say to me from absolute ground zero, how to get rich?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's a good question. So I would say do 2 things. The first thing I would say you should do is develop a phone addiction. And you should develop a phone addiction, but you should refuse to consume content and only create content.
Genius.
So it doesn't, I will say right here, right now, I have a genuine phone addiction.
Me too.
9-10 hours a day screen time.
Me too.
I live on my phone. I'm on my phone. That's where the money is. That's what it is.
Facts.
So where else am I going to be? Right? I'm on my phone. You see me. I'm always just on my phone, right? I have a phone addiction, but I'm not consuming a bunch of crap, right? I'm producing on my Twitter account. I'm constantly tweeting. Doesn't matter if it's just tweets. Doesn't matter if it's TikToks. Doesn't matter if it's YouTube videos. Produce.
Yep.
If you spend all those waking hours producing, eventually people will pay attention to you.
Yes.
And we live in an attention economy.
Yep.
This is the economy we now live in. It's no longer about competence like it used to be. It's not even so much, it's about attention and it's about network. It's those two things. It's who you know and it's how many people pay attention to you. So if you develop a phone addiction and you refuse to consume and you only create, you'll start to attract attention sooner or later. Mm-hmm. And when you can do that, there's usually lots of different ways to monetize it.
If we were still in the animal kingdom, the lions that you see on TV, they weren't just born big lions. They had to fight other lions. They had to fight to get that antelope. They had to fight other animals, hyenas, jackals. They had to fight to be the boss. We're living in a comfortable world now where people think, oh, it doesn't matter. But you know what? To some degree, it does matter. It does matter. And I'll tell you who it matters to. It matters to your soul and it matters to God. I stand in the mirror with a pure heart. I know I am the best version of me that could possibly ever exist. I know that God is proud of me. There's nothing that God hates more than sloth and laziness. If God were to create a man and that man were to sit around and do all, God will frown upon you. It's why you're never lucky. If you're listening to this and you think I'm never lucky, I'll tell you why, because God dislikes you because you're lazy. Start to work. Start to show God the beauty of his own creations. You'd be amazed how lucky you'll become.